Coach, we appreciate you joining us here today. Let's talk about this past Saturday's game against Valdosta State. The Blazers came away with a 1-point win, 42-41, but boy, a lot of good things about your team's performance on Saturday. I want to start with the defensive intensity that we saw this past Saturday, because it was something that we have not seen at that level so far this season.
Well, you know, early on it was felt like they had some things that they got pretty easy, and as the game went on, you know, after the first quarter or so, it started getting tougher and tougher, and our players were making it difficult, making them go the long, hard way. One thing I didn't think we did real well, and really to the very end, we didn't tackle extremely well. We got people and we were very physical, but we didn't get guys to the ground, and most of that was from Valdosta State. They're big and strong. The quarterback was even when we got him on the ground, it was very tough to get him down. So we had a lot of people around the ball, which was good to see. We're recognizing, we're covering people. We're making some plays as well. We got a big interception and capitalized off of that with the offense scoring. So that was good, and it was good to see our defense. One great thing for me is we're improving every week. And yes, you'd like to be able to get this started the right way. And and even with the injuries that we've had, and the backups and the third string guys that have come in and played like starters, that's been so good to see. But you know, when you're a little bit down, it's difficult to do that. And I'm really proud of our team for the way they've stepped up and continued to grow and continue to get better. And defensively, especially when we're talking about, they've continued to get better and better each week. So that's exciting. We just got, you know, some more tough games ahead of us, and we'll get a chance to prove ourselves some more.
We talked with Coach Michael Collins earlier this week about his unit's performance and the performance of Coach Rod Smith's defensive line as well, the pressure that they got against a very big offensive line that we faced against Valdosta State.
Yeah, they were. You know what, Valdosta's as good as there is in the league in several areas. They just come off a big win over West Georgia. I want to say they're a one-loss team right now, ranked very high in the nation. I don't know what the exact ranking is, but they're as good as we'll see in our league. So that is good to see. You're going to match up with players that are, I don't necessarily call them elite, but they're as good as we'll see in our league, and which is as strong as there is in the country. So that's exciting for us, especially knowing that to start the season, our depth was not quite where it is, being in our first year of this transition in Division II. And so we still have a little bit of ways to go as far as the building process. Our depth is not quite like everybody else, but we also have some injuries, some key injuries, you know, of course, at several positions on offense and defense. So that's good to see that we're matching up and we're going toe-to-toe with the best, and that looks good for next week and looks good for the future.
You never like to play from behind, but if you are going to be behind, you want to make sure that you answer when the other team scores. And that's something the Choctaws did on Saturday regularly. They answered every Valdosta score, and that gets you in a position to win in the end.
It does, and I wish we could have had one more. We were close. We were just probably one completion away from at least getting in field goal range, but we didn't. It didn't come up with that, and that was due to Valdosta State played really good defense there and held us out. But it was back and forth a little bit, and we got a little momentum. We had a big punt return as well, which was good. But it was exciting to see us. You know, at first, in the very first part of the game, our offense was going backwards. Our defense was giving up the big plays and easy to score type things. And so to be honest with you, I got a little worried. You know, like everybody else, probably so. And our players did not check up though. We had one big stop there and held them from a field goal. They missed that field goal. We went down and scored right then. Next thing you know, it's 14-7 instead of when they were down there close, making it 21-0. Now it's 14-7, another stop, and now it's 14-14. And that was really big, the turning point in the game, and the momentum shifted our way. And then it was a football game, and it was an exciting one to see.
Josh Dixon was back in this ball game. You didn't use him very much. I may be mistaken. I don't know if you used him in the first half, but certainly he got carries in the ball game. Was very effective when you did use him in the spots.
Yeah, we did, and he got back in there. He's been not 100%. You know, Josh got hurt in the second ball game, and we've got some other good running backs. We've mentioned Alize Chubbs. We've mentioned Quan Brand. Those guys have done a good job at that A-back spot. But Josh Dixon was our starter, and he is very explosive. He has very good vision, and he was the starter for a reason. He's a good player. And so it was good to have him back, and obviously we've missed him. We've missed that depth as well. but he is a good player, and he showed it on Saturday. I think he had about 150 yards rushing. I don't know, it's up there, and some big plays when he broke out of there, and had very good vision, and he left a couple of them. The guys were trying to tackle him from behind, just couldn't quite get there, and that's something that you just don't coach. You don't have every player being that gifted with that type of talent. So it's good to see Josh back and doing well.
Well, you mentioned big plays. Marcel Newsom came up with another one this week. You mentioned the punt return for the touchdown that they gave the Choctaws the lead. He was the conference player of the week, special teams player of the week, and that's what you want from your big players, to make those big plays when it counts.
Yes, it is. You know what? We had several big plays on defense. We know Manning had another big interception, put us in scoring position. Then Marcel made an outstanding catch on third down. One of those highlight reel catches. And then, of course, on the punt return, he also made some other big catches. You know what the impressive thing is? Everybody knows we've got some weapons, and we do have some players that can make big plays. Marcel didn't even play in the West Florida game, and Kel Gates stepped up a little bit, and other players made some big plays. But Marcel is one of the best in the nation, especially one of the best in the conference, and everybody knows who he is. They know that number 6 is a good player. And they're going to be planning to stop him, although they have to stop some of our other players as well. They can't just put all their players on him, but they can sometimes put 2 and make sure they put their best defender maybe on Marcel. And so with that being said, he still makes plays, and I think he's an exceptional player. We got a really good blocks on the punt return, and when we did that, you can see what happened. He took one to the house, and that was exciting to see. He did get that Special Teams Player of the Week. That's Gulf South Conference, the first one since 1994. And that is really amazing. Of course, a lot of that because we were in Division III. But, the past 2 years, as we've transitioned through, that was not allowed. We could not have a Player of the Week. We couldn't have an all-conference player. We couldn't go to the playoffs and all those things that go along with being in Division II. We weren't really in Division II. We were transitioning up. And so this was exciting to see one of our players earn that Gulf South Conference honor.
A couple of other guys on defense that I wanted to mention I thought had really good ball games, Julian Charles and Taquan Lewis.
Yes.
And I remember Charles made an outstanding tackle. He stayed home at his position and made about a 15, 20-yard sprint to get to his guy. And these are some young men who stepped up, and they're not one on the depth chart necessarily, but they're getting good playing time. They're performing well. Daquan
has, he started his journey toward getting on the field and making his name known in the spring. I mean, he's flying around the ball, and when you're going against us, you kind of get you get over and over repetition. You know where the ball's going. It's like getting more than 2 days of practice and playing somebody. You get the feeling I'm pretty confident here. Yeah, you know what? You can, and if you give up a touchdown, it's you're big mistake. But in a game, it goes up on the scoreboard. And so what he has been not as physical and running around. He's starting to get used to being out there. He's recognizing offensive formations and receivers, and it's showing. When he's making plays. Julian Charles seems like we mention his name every week. And he's young. He is a freshman. He makes mistakes. He does. Line him up right, though, and he starts to see it. He does something that really you can't coach. And you'll see this a lot where our players may be in pretty good position but maybe get outran. That doesn't happen very much with Julian Charles. He may be a little bit out of position. He may be in position, and he's going to make those plays, at least get his hat in the right spot because of his God-given talent, that speed he's got. And he's physical enough to make a tackle and strong enough. He's just a freshman, though. That's the great thing about it. So we've got a big-time future with him as he continues to get better and better.
We've got West Georgia this week. This is a Wolves team that lost to West Alabama, scored only 7 points this last week. I don't know about you, but I was a little surprised when I saw that score. Not necessarily that West Alabama had won, because we know they're a good football team. But this is a Wolves team that's kind of licking their wounds going into this week.
Yes, they are, and they've lost 3 straight, and three really good football teams now. That's for sure, and they are really good. They're as talented as we'll see on both sides of the ball. Their offense is a little bit different than it was in the past 2 years at least. They've got a big quarterback. He throws the ball extremely well, but their offense, it has changed. They've got big, strong offensive linemen. They're effective running the football and throwing the ball. So our defense has a challenge. It'll be their defense is really strong. I want to say they're ranked number 1 in the league in defense, in total offense, and maybe up in scoring offense. They're right toward the top as well. So it'll be a challenge, very, very similar. The thing that it shows with West Georgia being predicted to win the conference and ranked number 2 in the nation at the very start of the season, it shows how strong this conference is, with North Alabama, Valdosta State, and also West Alabama beating them. Now, West Alabama was up 17-7 in a very tough ball game. A few breaks went West Alabama's way, and then they returned to punt all the way. The immediate play after, they kicked off. West Georgia fumbled that kickoff. They scooped it and scored. So 14 points added to that. But one thing that was so impressive with West Al was how good their defense played and held West Georgia to almost 200 yards of offense only. So that was really good, and hopefully we can find that formula there and hold them to 200 ourselves. But that's going to be our challenge. I think if we can just bring what we learned last week and continue to grow, I think we'll see some good things again.
Yeah, I think the takeaway really from this past week's ball game against Valdosta was that I think everybody now sees that this team is just about ready to turn that corner and get that first conference win, because it was right there and they played well enough to win, just didn't pull it out there in the end. But I think that is a good reason for optimism for these last 3 games of this regular season.
There is. And our players, when we talk about being optimistic and things like that, of course they want to win, just like I do and you do and everybody else. We want to win those games. But you know what? It was good to see after the ball game, our players were not hanging their heads. And there was guys that wanted to. I was one. I wanted to hang my head a little bit. But you know what? We saw some really good things. We were so close. And somebody said, is it better to lose by 20 or is it better to lose by 1? I said, it's not good to lose at all. But you know what? When you're in the fight and you know that you've done something, you can be proud to know that you gave everything you've got. Sometimes when we lose and we're not close, it's yes, we give the other team credit, but we've made too many mistakes. We've not come together. We have not fought for 60 minutes. We've had maybe good effort, but really the concentration and the mental preparation that goes into it may not have been quite the same, and it's got to be. In this league, it has to be. For 60 minutes, it's got to be really sharp from start to finish. And our players have been there, but our depth being and the injuries that we've had, you've got to get a younger kid ready to go in a short period of time. So it's been difficult, but I think we've kind of found one thing about our team: they're not going to give up. They're going to continue to fight, continue to practice, continue to play, continue to have fun, and get better each week, which was good to see, and I'm proud of them for that. So hopefully we will. Hopefully we'll put the 60 minutes together again, come out on top this time.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time once again. Good luck in the game.
Thank you.